Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Susan Weimer and I'm here today with a video for Picket Fence Studios. Today we will be making a masculine themed, actually I would like this, card using Picket Fence Studios Weather the Storm stamp set. And I've made two versions of this card. This one was inspired by a ceiling I saw in an episode of Fixer Upper. And here's another view of the card. And I just really love the idea of a rustic sign, and I wanted to go ahead and make that, but I also made a more feminine version for my mom, who has been sick. I've been in Boston for the last 5 weeks, and all I did was stamp our Rose Bouquet stamp set in the background in a light gray ink. So here's what we're going to be using: our blender brushes, my Misty, the Weather the Storm stamp set, and some wood grain paper and various shades of distress inks or distress oxide inks. I don't have a full set of either, so there's a mix here. I will provide a link in the description box below to the exact colors that I ended up using, but you could use any colors that you wanted to. I have here a piece of wood grain paper that I've cut to 5.5 inches wide just to leave me a little leeway, and then I ended up using 1 inch strips. So I'm going to take our blender brushes, and in this case I'm using Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide, and I'm inking up the strip just to pull out the wood grain, and also because weathered wood comes in so many different colors because of the different varieties of wood, what they've treated it with. And I saw this ceiling on Fixer Upper, and I was just inspired by it. I was also inspired, and I've been inspired lately by this. My wonderful friend Deanna took my daughters and I, one of my daughters is her daughter-in-law, but anyway, to a place where you can build your own rustic sign. And I used an all gray background, and my daughters did different real wood stains on it. So that's where I got this inspiration from. So on the top, you'll see the strips that I did with Hickory Smoke. And these I'm using pumice stone. I tend to think of these two colors as Hickory Smoke is a C Copic marker, and pumice stone is a W. So they're both neutrals. One's warm, one's cool. And I wanted to talk about the blender brushes and the other tools for a moment. I know there's been some chat over on Stamp Junkies and some other places about so many new tools coming out, so many new stamp sets. I truly, as a person with a tremor, and a bad tremor, and rheumatoid arthritis, believe that the blender brushes and the Misty and my heavy duty trimmer are essential for me. They are tools that I use frequently. The blender brushes, I can't ink blend without them. And the reason is that I made adapters for my ink blending tools. That didn't work. I used the clarity brushes. That didn't work. Between my tremor and the pain from ink blending with the other things, I just didn't ink blend anymore. And Lydia Fiedler, my dear friend, gifted me a set of these. It still chokes me up to think about it. And I've been ink blending ever since. It makes it easy. So the same with the Misty. I originally bought a Misty after consulting a friend who knew about my hands. And she said, try it. And I've never looked back. And when I was asked to join the Misty design team, I said, absolutely. I will speak up for that tool anytime. Not only do I think it's invaluable to me, but I think it's just a valuable tool to have in your stash if you want. So what I did to further distress these is I pulled out, and what I thought to go is go to the garage and pull out a piece of sandpaper. However, I knew that that would cause me to get in an argument with my husband. Let's just say that area of the house is not in good condition. So I remembered I had this old Tim Holtz sanding tool. I don't think it's available anymore. But you could also use one of those nail buffing tools. And but I reached for this because I had it. I remembered, oh yeah, so why not use it? And I thought that the sanding would add a more weathered look to the wood. And I'm also using black soot distress ink. Again, I don't have a full set of either, so I just randomly pick from here and there. It doesn't really matter, I think, which one you use. It's just whatever you have. And you could use any dye ink as well, or any pigment ink. You could do whatever you have will work with this. And you can ink blend with the tools that you have. But again, I use the brushes because excuse that noise, that's my other computer. I just got a new one. So that's what I decided to do here. And I'm sanding the edges, and I think I used about 7 strips, but this is just so easy to do. And I had such fun that I think this is definitely something I'll do again. So I'm just going to lay these down in a random fashion, and I want to make sure also that the grain doesn't line up, because I want it to look like I cut it from different pieces of weathered wood. So because that's how the ceiling on Fixer Upper looked, and it just looked amazing. And again, I was also inspired by those signs my daughters made at this little crafting place that we went to. I wish I could remember the name of it. It was just so much fun. So they're obviously going to overhang my A2 card base, which I cut out a top folding note card with Nina Solar White. I think it's a 110. I'm pretty sure it is. And then I'm just using my scissors here to trim up this really easily. So, and now we're going to walk into the messy desk in just a minute. So I decided that I needed something else that looked a little more rustic. So I rolled a piece of a speckled cardstock that I have, and I'll provide the link below. And I just started distressing that with some vintage photo and then some of the same colors that I have in the wood, which were pumice stone, weathered wood, and hickory smoke. So just to add more of a rustic flavor to this. So I originally stamped the sentiment with vintage photo, and I'll get back to that in a minute. I'm just using a liquid adhesive. That happens that I have Gina K Connect glue sitting on my desk. So I had stamped the sentiment originally with vintage photo, and I did not let it dry. And then as I picked it up to adhere it to the crimped cardstock, it smudged. So although the Distress Oxides stamp beautifully like any pigment ink, you really do have to heat set them or clear emboss over them, and I was just being lazy. But I had been in Boston for 5 weeks taking care of my mom, so I was a little tired. So excuse the messy desk. Why am I saying that? Because my desk is always a mess. I just forget that I'm filming. I'm having so much fun. I'm in the zone. And stuff gets left in the desk. So anyway, I'm using W+9's Warm Wool, which is a great brownish, grayish color. I love it. Anyway, so I think I'm going to link to that below. But anyway, so now I realize that this piece of paper is too pristine or clean. Everything about it is clean, and the rest of the card is weathered and rustic. So I pulled out my sander, and then I found this old basic gray tool, and then I remembered we used to roughen up the edges of paper using our scissors back in the day. Somewhere around here I have a distressing tool, but I don't know where that is. And so I just roughed the edges of this a little bit. I did not add any ink to it. I wanted the sentiment to be somewhat starkly there. So if you go on Pinterest, you can see, and you put in rustic signs, you'll see examples of them. And you can go to Hobby Lobby and walk around and you can see them, or Michael's or wherever. But so I popped this up on top of the crimped paper, and I really thought that given the narrowness of this, I needed to trim the card down. So I pulled out my heavy-duty trimmer, and you might say, why do I need that? I need this because my hands are too weak to cut through the 2 layers of Nina Solar White and then the wood grain cardstock. I use this trimmer to cut all my card bases because I can cut multiple ones at a time. So that's why I have 2 trimmers. You use what you need, and this is what I need. So excuse the phone. I had been using my phone for some photos for inspiration, but here's the feminine card, or the more feminine version. I'd be happy to receive either version, frankly. And the weathered one. So here they both are. And I have this to show you. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a question if you have one. I've linked products in the description box below and over on my blog. And please subscribe if you enjoyed this video and give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. That helps me know what type of content you would like to see in the future. And have a wonderful day. Thank you.